Nino, who said, what can Blizzard do to make amends? Do you think they'd feel like they need to do something special for the player base? And what I'll say is, basically, for the latter part, no. I don't really think Blizzard will feel like they will have to do anything like some sort of really big gesture. I honestly do have a bit of a feeling that they sort of feel entitled to their success at this stage.
I definitely think they do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just because I don't really see the kind of scrappy, go-getting kind of... just, the development doesn't seem like they are aware that they're in a humongous crisis, which could be that they are aware they're in a humongous crisis right now, but there's just no way that feeling makes it through corporate PR, in which case corporate PR is creating a losing situation for Blizzard, because the only way to deal with a shitty situation, and it's so funny because it's like corporate PR going against the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're supposed to get ahead of a story, because once you get ahead of a story, if that story is your own failure, you get ahead of that, then you control the narrative, and then you can steer things. But Blizzard just kind of just let it burn.
Yeah, it's funny. It reminds me of the Cyberpunk, actually, because it's a case where, like, it was in that video, the Blizzard can't ignore the competition video, the No King Rules Forever, which, but I feel like no matter if the staff at Blizzard who are actually on the ground do understand, like, boys, this is not going to work. We need time. We need the resource. We need to rethink this. But it doesn't matter if their pleas fall on deaf ears from the people from like the captain of the ship, or the conglomerate that is the leadership at Blizzard and Activision Blizzard. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the people on the ground say if they're not listened to.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, based on how wacky some of their decisions are, I cannot imagine that. I imagine that only happens because a bunch of frontline staff are not listened to. That's essentially what I think.
Definitely,
to be honest.
definitely feels that way.
So many layers of bullshit that the people who are actually there, very in the front lines of game dev, don't actually get. I don't know. That's what it feels like. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter. It shouldn't feel like it's that. So yeah, what can Blizzard do to make amends is what Nino said. And to that, all I can basically say is stop making bizarre, wacky decisions that are just iterating in systems, start shipping more content, and be a lot more communicative. Both on the community team side and also the development team side.
Yeah, like
simple. Other companies do it. You know what, Blizzard? You need to be able to have developers that are good at doing that. Not every dev is, but there surely are people in the team who would like to do that. That's it. That's what modern game development is. You got to move with the times. Simple as that.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they don't need to do anything like bombastic. They don't need to go, sorry for this massive, like, it's not the case where, the general Japanese way of like making a massive show of apology and like doing like, they're not, we don't want Jab to come out and commit seppuku on the stage. Like, it's a case of what we need is them to go, listen, boys, we're awful sorry. Here's our plan to do better. Here's the direction we're going to go in. We've hired up community people to talk to you. Literally just show that you're trying. And I think a lot of people will go, you know what? We believe in you now. So. Yeah,
people care about WoW so much. And we all want to believe that it's in good hands and that it's all going to be okay. And I think that means that any sort of apology tour or comeback tour is going to be super easy press because I think people will actively embrace any show of... Is clemency the word? Maybe it's the word. Who knows?
Clemency, that's...
Who knows? But whatever it is, people will embrace it. Similar theme. Vryn Thorn left a super in the last stream saying, if they don't do another full expansion, I just won't resub. It's criminal to pay a full expansion price to then be held captive via subscription fee to experience that purchase. What do they waste 2 years on? It's funny. What a criticism of the MMORPG business model that is.
Yeah.
Which I guess it does sort of mean that whenever you buy an expansion, in my head, it's like, just think, is 60 or 70, whatever it costs, is that amount of money worth just the base experience? Zero patches. I think that's the only reasonable way to actually think about buying an expansion, because you can't be sure about the patches, and the patches you're literally paying for anyway.
Yeah, of course. You're actually in a lot of cases you're paying more for the patches.
Yeah.
I mean, as we said with
less content in a way.
Yes, as we said with Shadowlands, you buy Shadowlands for whatever, like $40 I think was base price, and then you're paying $105 for the next patch essentially if you're sub the whole time. Obviously, you don't have to be. You can you can use 1 month and then get through most of what you want to. But it's still a case of it's basically, I think the submodels are so often like basically scams if you also charge a lot in a way. It's kind of weird.
The submodel is scummy if it is not delivered upon. So it's that weird thing where if World of Warcraft was like Guild Wars 2, and that, you know, you buy the box and then there is more deep monetization within the game itself, but no sub fee, then nobody really cares about, oh, the patch is taking a bit too long. I don't care, I'm not paying a sub. But as soon as a sub fee comes there, I think that's basically it. If there's a sub fee involved, then the types of humongous gaps that can sometimes happen with WoW don't really feel cool.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the situation.
Yeah. Especially when you have cases of like... thankfully, it's not the case anymore because of things like Discord servers. A lot of guilds and like FFCs and, you know, whatever name your game has for a community of people, they'll usually have like Discord servers or something like that where you can still hang out. But like in the past for MMOs where you knew someone in World of Warcraft, you didn't know them anywhere else. Like once you broke that barrier, in the olden days it was fairly special because you didn't have that kind of other thing. So it's like you were almost being charged to stay in this. You were literally being charged to stay in this world with all the people.
That's a big point. The likes of Discord means that like an MMO is inherently a bit less sticky because the function of the MMO has been actually eaten up by, in this case, a free server-based chat application. Yeah. And you could say like, I think previously TeamSpeak was the voice chat solution of a World of Warcraft guild. Yeah. But now it's no longer a World of Warcraft guild for many. It is a small-scale, tightly-knit gaming community that is all in Discord. And I think that's a fundamental change, and that means that it's harder for an MMO to actually keep people in. Which then does make me wonder if that's why trying to really stretch out the playability and the reward side of content is like such a big thing, because they're maybe looking at fundamental differences in the market.
It's compensating for that loss of keeping people connected that way. Because I mean, our Discord, like our guild Discord, is basically the perfect example. Where I mean, I don't think like Matt, Tom, Menno, I don't think they've played WoW since like January maybe.
No,
but even before, like a lot of us were playing FF, we're just like, you know, they would hop in voice every now and again. We would still have I'm not going to call it by its name because people will probably be a bit funny, but the meme posting channel. And I was just constantly, like, we all continue to hang out.
Yeah. So maybe 10 years ago, what this would be is I forget the name of it, but it would be a guild website and then GChat in the guild. But now, like, nobody talks in GChat. It's either the Discord server chat or it is, like voice or something. Yeah. That's a fundamental difference in the market. The other thing I then think from Vryn is it's just like, if you buy in and then pay all of the sub with the expectation of 3 major patches or whatever, then you don't get that, feels scummy. Worlds of Draenor obviously comes to mind. People are worried that Shadowlands will only have 2 major patches. I do think Shadowlands will have less patch content than BFA, and BFA didn't do as well as Legion.
Yeah.
This trend needs to stop going like this and start going like that.
It's okay. It's imagine you're like mountain biking in one of those mountain biking games.
Oh, yes, playing Descenders.
The further you go down, if you hit a ramp, maybe, hopefully. But,
that's the Legion effect, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's funny because that entire topic reminds me of I wish I could stop talking about Rogue Legacy 2 every time I think of video games, but it's like, that's a game I bought in early access, and I went, all right, you know what? There is absolutely piss all to do here. I've done everything I need to, but I've already, like, I really like Cellar Door's first game. I like Rogue Legacy, so I trust them. And I've bought this game for, like, I can't remember. It was like 12 quid, 15 quid, something like that, way back last year. I think it was like November, October, something like that. And even already, it is like easily worth 20, maybe 25 like dollars or quid as a game. And it's just I've just paid them to continue development. Yeah. But because there's no sub fee, there's like, I'm not worried at all. Because I'm just like, I'll just wait until the game is great and I'll play it.
Yeah, and instead of a sub fee, their business model is the smallest version of the game that is releasable is what works best for its most niche and hardcore audience. So instead of a sub fee giving them their recurring income, they instead go to their big audience, or their super dedicated audience first. And then as the game expands, its appeal expands, which then means they can keep on doing development. And then you've got almost like a No Man's Sky situation.
Yeah.
Where, No Man's Sky, like, They just keep on doing updates. They keep on making money because the potential market size for that game is just so fucking huge that you keep on updating it, making it better. It's going to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting, the value stuff with WoW. I think that actually is a problem. The cost of MMOs in general versus, like an MMO costs like more or the same as Game Pass. Pretty hard to compete with the amount of premium experiences that you'll get with Game Pass. So that's another thing in the market these days.
Yeah.
Really hard to actually get a sub fee out of somebody when the amount of incredible, value is elsewhere.
Yeah, it's like you drop your WoW sub for 1 month, and assuming you're paying monthly and paying the full like $15 or the 10 quid, you then get Game Pass on PC. And assuming you've got even a vaguely decent PC, the amount of games that are open to you is insane. And it's like, that's one of the things that in that competition video, if it were significantly longer or if I did a part 2, I would start talking about the kind of how Netflix said their competitor is Sleep, and how a couple of which there's some publisher said their competition's like Netflix. They're considering them their competition.
Yeah.
And it's a case of we're in this like capped attention economy where you've got more things you want to do than you do, so things are fighting against each other. So World of Warcraft's not competing against FF and ESO and Guild Wars 2 and whatnot, New World, Ashes of Creation. They're competing against those like at the exact same level, but then you go 2 steps away and suddenly they're competing against everything else.
Yeah, for me, it's literally right now competing against BoJack Horseman. And that's like just a prime example, really.
Yeah, it sounds insane, but like, yeah.
Yeah, so moving on, we've got we've got from Zilibrius Super, who said, the problem I've had with WoW is that they create a ton of gameplay hurdles to keep you subbed, not because it's engaging, whereas 14 respects my time. This is something I've very recently felt with. So my emotional state is I am hyped up to basically LARP as Pilav and Bajira. I know those are very different guys, but I want to roll an arms warrior and crush skulls.
Yeah.
And I got very excited about this. I know the character, I made a little tweet about it, and it's all feeling happy. I want to do this in 9-1. And it was rather crushing remembering, oh wait, shit.
Yep.
Blizzard said that, you should really get to renown level 40 and finish the campaign before the new patch, and all that stuff. And then I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, all that busy work. And then I actually think about FF, because of course all of that busy work in FF would be on a per character basis, not a per job basis. And because one character can so imagine your WoW main. Hello. Imagine your WoW main. You can just hit a button, swap it over to another class. But all of the progression that character, like the literal person of your character, has done would still be valid for that character. And it's honestly like after playing a game where that is a thing, I go to WoW and I'm like, oh, I really prefer the other way of doing it with how World of Warcraft has now developed as a game. Yeah. That's like almost the only way to give people the gameplay diversity that they really, really, really want, while also giving them a character that truly feels like their avatar. Because, it went from your character as your avatar, but then as they opened up having dual spec, and then tri or quad spec if you're a druid, and then doing all those things with WoW, they didn't become... They were no longer avatars, they turned into just toons.
Yeah.
Like you look at your character screen in WoW, and for so many players, that may as well be selecting your loadout in Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah.
Right? In terms of how 100%. The actual game design of WoW goes. I think, though, there's one reason why Blizzard would want to do that. They'd want you to have to re-gear multiple characters, do all the stuff in multiple characters. So, I wonder. After being near FF14, it's like all that shit feels so much more meaningful when it's not in the back of your head that like, oh, I'll have to do this storyline 3 more times.
Yeah.
I think you can with New Game Plus or something.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah, it's literally just there if you want to do quests again. They don't reward. There's no reward, so they kind of went, you know what, we'll make this completely intrinsic if you want to see these. Not if you want to see the cutscenes, because you can access all the cutscenes from a book in the inn. But in terms of if you want to do quests again, go for it. Which is kind of cool because like the solo duties and solo scenario level, the equivalent of scenarios are really cool, especially as they get like the last one in Shadowbringers is completely insane. But anyway, yeah,
sure it is.
Yeah, so I think that's actually a big problem for me recently playing World of Warcraft, because I get this incredible urge to just be like, I really want to play this other class, and I just kind of can't. Like, a couple of evenings this week, I've been trying to get my druid up to speed because I tried to do that with a priest, and then I got to like level 44 and I just snapped. I was like, I really don't enjoy playing this and healing at all. Okay, back to the druid who is 60, and it's just I'm doing the Nightfade campaign again, and it is just a chore. Like that's why I started watching, as I was saying to you, I started watching Invincible. It's because I was doing the Nightfade quest that I've done before. I was like, I'm going to fall asleep if I don't have something else.
Seeing the pros of Final Fantasy XIV's game format with characters, and to make this not just be everybody having a group fap over Final Fantasy XIV, there is a system in SWTOR,
the
Legacies.
Stuff,
And I think that does allow for a lot of shared account level progression, because like I think fantasy wise it's like you're all in the same family or some shit. But I wonder, if with World of Warcraft they really don't want to do that big thing, if there is some sort of system they could do a new expansion that would actually give them a similar effect. Because the way that the game is being played is changing, I suppose, at the end game. And that's just kind of that. And it's maybe that sort of thing where if you only had to level your character once, and then that character could do whatever like class that it wanted, maybe Blizzard would actually feel a bit more confident to do far longer campaigns and far longer storylines in like the leveling process or something, because then it's like, in my head, it is better if a WoW expansion has 30 hours of leveling that's telling a fucking great story. I think that's way healthier for the game. It's just a bunch of people that only want to do that once. So if I could do that on my character, leveling up one of my character's classes, but like it gets my whole character through all that progression, I'd feel way more okay with that, because ultimately that would be way less, overall redoing the same content. So food for thought.
There's something I was going to say and I completely lost it because I read a super. What was it about? It was this is definitely not a topic to into now. Maybe we'll do it on a podcast or a later show. But that's why I would like to see leveling removed, because
that's a big one.
So instead of having leveling, you log in and then it's like, here's all your end game activities you can do, or here's Suramar, not literally Suramar, but here's something like here's the equivalent of a Suramar, and just like then remove all the barriers to people wanting to load out stuff. But then if people do want to revisit those on different alts, they can go for it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So a lot of thoughts there about the varying structures of what a character actually means in an MMO.